Thank you,
Cheers.
Priesh. Flipping hell, this is hot.
I actually found that surprisingly okay. Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Heat and Greet. My name is Vibhav and today I'm joined by Priesh Kamani, who is a Tririga technical specialist. Hi Priesh, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Right, so shall we move on to the next one? We've got
Yeah,
the Sriracha chili sauce.
Okay.
Hopefully it's a little bit more spicier than the last one, but we'll see. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Generous tips only on Heat and Greet, nothing less. Cheers.
Cheers.
I quite like that one actually.
Yeah, I like sriracha. Kind of got garlic in it and other things going on as opposed to just heat, which I assume is what we're going to get to as we move along.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm actually going to go for another one. Quite like
Go
it.
for it. I don't think you'll be doing that later on, but we'll see.
We'll see. So my next question, in the sustainability portfolio at IBM, Tririga is one of them. So as a specialist, if you can just give a quick introduction to Tririga, what it's all about, and what's the how is it, what's the links to sustainability? That would
Sure.
be great.
So IBM Tririga is classed as an IWMS,
Okay.
which is an integrated workplace management solution. What that means is it effectively manages real estate from cradle to grave. So all aspects of the real estate life cycle, all of the business processes within them. So as opposed to a point solution for something like space management or maintenance, Tririga is all about kind of consolidation across the real estate life cycle. So that could be starting with acquisition. So let's say you needed a new office in London or you needed to dispose of space, leasing, subleasing. If you've got your space, you might want to do a renovation, or you might have bought land and you want to build a new building. Once that's there, you need to manage the space within it. So that could be reserving space. In IBM we use reservations quite heavily for desk bookings and room bookings, and managing allocation of assets in space. So how's this desk logged in the system, for example. Then maintenance of that. So people saying, I've spilt water, someone has to come and clean it. What am I going to do? Log that through self-service, execute that maintenance. And then also environmental. So can we understand the environmental impact of our portfolio and then come up with opportunities to improve? And then how do we execute those opportunities? That might be solar panels, that might be triple glazing, that might be heat reflective coating, whatever it is. So all aspects of that, all the way to disposal. So that be that ending your lease, selling something, demolishing it in some cases if it's very old. That's what Tririga is really doing. And it's industry agnostic. So that means anyone who's got real estate has a need for this kind of solution, because by understanding the data points within that, you can start making holistic decisions and making your efficiency higher. And through that, you can save money, but also be sustainable.
Well, that's really interesting to hear, as someone who, comes to the office quite regularly, we kind of take it for granted, that these assets need to be maintained, renovated, they have their own carbon emissions, et cetera, et cetera. So a software that can actually help to optimize for this is quite interesting to learn. So yeah, thanks so much for that. Right, let's move on to the buffalo hot sauce now. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Buffalo hot sauce. So it's buffalo because it's effectively got butter in it.
Is it?
Yeah, so it's like hot sauce with butter. That's why it's that colour.
Learn something new every day.
You can kind of taste it, right?
It's quite buttery.
Yeah. Wouldn't say it's my favourite,
Same.
but it also makes it taste less hot
That makes
because of that,
yeah,
I guess, because
yeah.
of the fat.
Yeah, it is quite.
But yeah.
So my next question is, what's the different challenges that Tririga can solve for a business? What are you seeing businesses, what are the main challenges that they're having, and how is Tririga helping to solve them at the moment?
So the great thing about Tririga is it applies to any industry, and typically they all have very similar issues. So the first one is buildings are very, very expensive. So if you take the balance sheet of most businesses, buildings are the second highest cost after people.
Wow. Okay.
So if you can have less space, obviously, if you can optimize your space and use it efficiently, then it's going to hit your bottom line quite quite impactfully. The second thing is a lot of that real estate life cycle that I spoke about in the previous question is typically done in lots of different siloed systems. Or actually what we see in real estate, there's lots of bits that are still done in Excel or on paper.
Wow.
So a lot of leasing, for example, if you're in public sector, especially local government public sector, a lot of it's still done on paper.
Wow.
So there's lots of data, which is the third biggest thing, in these areas. Buildings create a lot of data, right? Lots of assets, there's lots of sensors, all of these things, lots of different processes across lots of different systems. So if you want to make a holistic decision, how do you do that? How do you report? So sometimes a customer might be the real estate team might be asked to produce a report and it might take them 3 weeks.
Wow.
Right, because they have to pull data from different systems. It might be on paper that they have to enter, they then have to collate that, process it, report on it. How do we overcome that to make holistic decisions? And then the last thing, which didn't used to be that important when I first started in this space, but now has become increasingly important, especially with the new generation of workers coming into businesses like IBM, is workplace experience. So if you want to maintain really good talent in your business, one of the ways you can do that is by giving them a good experience in their office or as that overarching process. So, for example, self-service reservations that I spoke about, that kind of thing, is becoming more and more important in the marketplace. So as opposed to it just being about cost saving and efficiency, it's also how do we do that but also deliver a really good workplace experience.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, as someone who does come to the office quite regularly, I do like sitting in, a certain place every day whenever I come, or if I can reserve a room in advance, that's the same room in advance, that's a really good, experience, because, it just makes it very seamless. And, if we can do this via Tririga, this is like an excellent.
So that's effectively what we're trying to address is kind of how do you address all of those things, consolidate into one product and let you do all of that in a cost-effective manner. Wow. So that's what Tririga does.
We're doing quite well so far, actually. I'm impressed. So let's go for the next one, shall we?
Yeah, I think it's now.
It's time to make a jump.
Now getting tricky.
Habanero
hot sauce. Okay.
Right.
This one is.
that one. Yep.
Okay, let's give it a good. This one's a bit runnier, so you've got to.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Tastes good, that one.
I can feel something.
You feeling it?
I'm quite runny.
Yeah, this one's. This is probably the level I'd have at home. So I'm not sure about the next two, but it's good.
Struggling to get my question out. Okay. Right. Get the next question. So, in terms of more of the practical aspect of Tririga, can you sort of explain what the hardware and software, pieces are behind Tririga? Is there any sensors or what's the software?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tririga is a completely web-based solution. So the biggest technology that helps customers is the fact that they can move things from manual or from Excel to a process-based, workflow-driven solution based on business process, which means you can control it, you can report on it, and you can also manipulate the workflow to meet whatever process you need it to. So, most customers, if they're, let's say, doing stuff on paper, and then you suddenly say, well, through this web-based solution, you can run, let's say, work task execution through a mobile app, that jump in technology is quite a lot for people in real estate. So we have aspects of mobile applications, web-based capability that Tririga brings, which really enhances what customers are doing today to what they're doing in Tririga. If we're looking at a specific technology, an example could be occupancy. So one of our capabilities is called Building Insights, and what that lets you do is it lets you do near real-time occupancy tracking. So we could, for example, use the Wi-Fi on this floor to understand how many people are on the floor, where they're located, if there's any density hotspots. That was really useful during, for example, COVID. So if you had too many dense hotspots, you could then rearrange your floor to kind of spread people out.
Wow.
That uses your Wi-Fi as a sensor. If you want more fidelity, so for example, you want to know the number of people in this room specifically, then you could use under-desk sensors or even camera-based sensors, feed that into our platform. We're kind of hardware agnostic, So we work with some partners, and then we can process that information and use it to inform a space planner, for example, to make a decision.
Wow.
So really, the key thing is our web-based capability, which is what Tririga is, the mobile application capability, which we call our UX framework, and customers can actually build other applications as well. And then we have specific technology that we work with like this. Another one is BIM, so 3D models of buildings.
Wow.
So for example, if you had this building and you wanted to get it into Tririga, instead of having to manually enter everything, if a 3D model was used during the construction, then you can use that and pull the floor plans in and the assets and all of the space information from that 3D model into Tririga. And then we can leverage those floor plans in different processes, like if you reserve a room, you'll see a floor plan might come up, or if you're doing space planning or something like that.
That's quite cool. Maybe one more thing I could ask is, what's the user experience? So, if there's employees in an office who want to use this app, how is the user interface for them? Is it very friendly, seamless?
Yeah, so we have different interfaces depending on what you're doing. So for an employee, there's a self-service interface. So you can log in and it gives you access to services like reservations. You can use the locate function to say, okay, I need to find this room, and it will tell you where it is on a floor plan. You might say, I want to log a service request because there's the tap's not working or the lights aren't working, so you could do that through the app. It will show you kind of all your existing requests and reservations. You can have news on there. But the nice thing about our mobile apps is that they're configurable, so if a customer wants to add other capability to meet their self-service needs, they can do that as well. So yeah, we provide kind of a set of capabilities out of the box, but they can be extended. And the nice thing about our mobile applications is they're web-based, which means you don't have to install anything on the mobile device. Wow. So I could access it from my personal phone, from my laptop. It will fit the screen that it's on, and you don't have to do mobile device management. Wow. So every time you access it, it's the latest and greatest. We also have a whole partner ecosystem of partners who make other apps that do other things like inspections and deliver additional capability to that form factor. So that's what an end employee would see. And then if you have different roles in the system, like a lease administrator or a space planner, they might execute certain processes on mobile or on a tablet, and then other processes they'd be doing on a laptop or a desktop.
That's great. And what's also great to see is you haven't even touched your water yet, which is you're doing.
I'm
well.
not there
yet.
yet.
You're doing well. You're doing well. Well, as compared to me, anyways. I'm already one glass down. Right, we're down to the last
two. So this is another habanero
ketchup, and I'm sure it'll be nothing like ketchup. But
it's definitely thicker than the last one, so should be able to get a decent amount onto it.
Sorry, is that? Oh, that's mine. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't like that.
It's kind of similar to the first one.
Tastes like a metal taste. Like it's hot.
It's almost like going for a second round of that one. Kind of like ketchup mixed with a hot sauce.
Nah, that's not one for me. Sorry.
No, I don't mind.
I only had a bit, and it's like burning my tongue. Let's see. Okay, right. Just about get my question out. 1 second. So I want to talk a bit more about the sustainability angle to this. Okay, so you said it's great for app management and managing your assets effectively. A bit more about how businesses are using it to be more sustainable, maybe, and also can it integrate with other parts of the portfolio?
Yeah. So the nice thing about the real estate life cycle and the fact that we touch so many areas of it is that you can impact sustainability in a lot of those different areas. So going back to that life cycle I spoke about earlier, if we look at acquisition, you can include green criteria. So you might say, I'm only going to lease a building or have a building as an option if it has a certain energy efficiency, or if it already has solar panels, or if it's within a certain distance of public transport, because that will impact sustainability of people driving to the office. Once you get into leasing, one of the things you can do is implement green lease clauses. So you can work with your landlord to define how you're going to maintain a building to be sustainable, or improvements you might make over the lifespan of your lease. And IBM Global Real Estate actually won an award on green leasing because of how they manage their leases through Tririga. If we get to projects, then we can execute environmental projects. That might be solar panels, that might be changing the HVAC to heat pumps, which are way more efficient than traditional air conditioning or heating methods. You might also be including vendor selection. So if you're doing a project and looking at a contractor, you might say, well, we're going to go through green procurement and only work with contracts that meet certain green certifications. If we go to space management, this is the biggest impact, because if you have less space, you automatically are more sustainable because you're heating and cooling less space, which is obviously the biggest contributor to real estate's CO2. Once you get to maintenance, it's all about proactive maintenance, extending asset life, and then the environmental aspects of carbon footprint analysis, and also executing audits to understand how you could improve your property. Now, where we can integrate with other sustainability software solutions, one of them is Invisi. So we've had a couple of sessions on Invisi already on Heat and Greet, and what we can do is send building and people data from Tririga to Invisi, so you can do intensity calculations, because it's useful to understand the carbon footprint of a building, but you can't understand the performance unless it's in context of the size. So if you're comparing a building that's 10 floors versus a building that's 2, you need to know the size of that, and Tririga owns that. So if you're passing that to Invisi, you can do those KPIs. You can then compare your buildings, understand an underperforming location. You might then do an audit of that location. You then will execute an environmental project to improve that, because you might say, well, let's push our budget to this location because that's the one that's falling behind. And then you can see the downstream results of that back in Invisi, because you're measuring your footprint, let's say, after that project's completed. So that kind of life cycle is how IBM are looking at Tririga and Invisi, but also how other customers are looking at how Invisi can be used to understand what's going on. Tririga can be used to execute change.
That's a really good answer. My tongue's actually on fire. I'm so happy I'm not answering the questions and I'm asking them. But yeah, you're doing really well so far, and a really good answer as well. It really shows how Tririga is a market leader. How it's really encouraging businesses to reach their sustainability goals, and how the other parts of the portfolio are also the integration is very seamless, as you've said, I think. So
and it's important to have both of those aspects, because unless you understand that you've got a problem, you can't do anything about it. But understanding the problem in itself is not enough, right? Because unless you can change that, it's fine if you're just reporting on it, which is you might be fulfilling a regulatory requirement. But really, if we're talking about impacting sustainability, then that's where we come in, and to say, okay, Tririga is that enabler, because buildings are such a big part of that for most customers.
Correct. I think it's important to maximize the capabilities of it,
Absolutely.
Rather than just looking at it as a reporting solution. Also, you can do so much more with it.
Exactly.
Right, moving on. Last but not the least,
the ghost pepper.
The ghost
Here
pepper.
we go.
I've heard a lot of things about it. Haven't tried it yet, so should be a good one.
All right. Let's go for a.
He's gone for a lot. Okay.
You've got to match it now.
Right. That's enough. That'll do right. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. How do you find that?
That's hot. I think it's going to be one that will build. So I think
build?
In the next couple of minutes, it's going to feel hotter.
It's already been built. Oh my god, I need more water.
You can have one of mine. I haven't had any yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
good.
sure you don't want any water?
I'm fine. Yeah,
I'm having hiccups as well.
I'll go in for a second go. I don't mind this, actually.
This is the real Spice King right here, guys.
Nice thing is it's still got quite a nice. It's got a nice flavour, even though it is spicy.
Flavour. Let me get my last question out. So, any example wins or any example use cases that you want to highlight in particular that you've worked with any particular client
Yeah, so
that stands out?
one of the things I spoke about earlier is how Tririga is industry agnostic, and what is really nice is our users are really spread across all industries. So I thought I'd highlight users from different aspects of that. So one of the ones that you can go on the IBM website and look at a whole case study of is Melbourne Hospital in Australia.
Okay.
So they implemented Tririga, I think last year, for maintenance. And they went from effectively printing stuff out and doing work orders paper-based to executing them through Tririga using the mobile app. They do 500,000 work orders a year. They improve their response time by 85%. And an interesting one for them is they reduced their printing cost by like over a third, because they were printing all of these work orders out, and now they're just doing them all through the mobile app. Wow. So that saving, and obviously that was saving over 100 kilos of CO2 equivalent per year, just on printing. Yeah. Another good one is Accor Hotels. So they're a hotel chain, and they're using Tririga projects worldwide in 31 countries, and they're executing over 10,000 projects a year. So that can be refurbishments of hotels to keep them up to date, all of those things. And the good thing about having it all in one product is that if they've got a fixed budget, they can make decisions. If they're doing 10,000 projects a year, where do they spend that money, right? So having that all in Tririga is helping them decide where that funding source gets spent. So that's hotel industry. We have aircraft manufacturers who use Tririga for space management and maintenance. Government agency, I was talking about consolidation of siloed systems. They consolidated over 100 tools into Tririga. So the operational saving for them was significant. It was in the hundreds of millions. We have retailers that use it. So there's a retailer who has, I think, 40,000 locations worldwide, and they manage all of their leases. So all of the leases, all the landlord management, all of the accounting of those leases is done through Tririga. So I'm good, yeah. And then the final one, I'd guess, is IBM Global Real Estate. Okay. So a lot of companies during the pandemic have seen obviously a dramatic drop in utilization of space and hybrid working and all of the things that we were doing in IBM before that, but a lot of customers have seen an increase in that. So there's been a lot of move to understanding how much space you're actually using to make that efficiency choice. Global Real Estate, we've gone through space optimization significantly over the past 2-3 years. They consolidated a lot of systems into Tririga, and I think now their carbon footprint reduction is over 60%. Through processes in Tririga, combined with our other sustainability software solutions. So they've implemented Maximo, Invisi, Turbonomic, as well as Tririga, to really fulfill that whole end-to-end, not just in real estate, but the other parts of the business that they touch. So yeah, it's really good seeing wins and customers in different industries leveraging the product. But what that also underlines is really everyone does it in the same way. And so if you have real estate and you have challenges across the life cycle, then Tririga is the kind of solution that could help you.
Wow, that's really beneficial to see that it's not only sustainable, but also it's saving money for the clients, and also the impact that you can create. Working in so many different industries, whether it's in hospitals or retail industry or aircraft. So that's something that's really, really good to know. So so just. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. How
it
was
good fun.
Good fun?
Yeah, I think I might have to buy some of the hotter ones.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I won't be buying any soon. So, thank you so much, guys, for joining us on another episode of Heat and Greet. Stay tuned for another episode. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Priesh. Flipping.
I actually found that surprisingly okay.